Turning our attention back to our Smalltown Spotlight this week, this is a live look in Las Cruces, and as we previously mentioned, today we are highlighting the Las Cruces and the Hatch areas to learn more about the history, culture, and entertainment. And speaking of entertainment, that is exactly where we find our chief meteorologist, Robert Bettis, who of course is getting a preview of Smalltown Spotlight and gives us a first look at the forecast. Robert, I hope you brought your aviators.
Tirza, thank you so much. Before we get to the Smalltown Spotlight, which of course happens on Wednesdays on KTSM, it's the only station coming out, putting a bright light of good news on different towns, different communities, different places. Today we've come up to Las Cruces and Hatch, New Mexico, and boy, do we have a treat for you. So let's go ahead and not delay and go through that Smalltown Spotlight checklist. Imitation aviators, check, and I need them because it's partly cloudy, but it's very sunny out here. Thick polyester pants that come right out of the dryer and you don't even have to iron them, check. Comfortable Oak Cloud shoes, compliments of KTSM Next Star Broadcasting for Christmas, thank you. One, Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum filled with absolute wonder for everybody who loves trains. This building right here has been in operation by the Santa Fe Railroad since 1910. And we're going to go inside and give you a peek at all the goodies. I've never been here, so I've become pretty much obsessed. Now, at the airport right now, we've got 88 degrees and partly cloudy skies. I'm going to have your detailed forecast. We'll talk about high pressure building up for the weekend, moving us up not only into the triple digits, into extreme heat range. I'll have that forecast coming up in just a little bit. Tirza, are you excited to see the trains?
Your local weather authority, Robert Bettis, the Borderlands' only certified broadcast meteorologist.
Okay, Jack is here with me. We're at the Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum. This thing was built in 1910, and I can't wait to show you around. But let's get right to the good stuff, right, Jack? Do you have one of these at home? Look at this. Look at, and they're little magnetic connectors. Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you what, I can't speak for little girls, but I can speak for little boys. Every single one of us is obsessed with trains. I can't get enough. And wait till I show you all.
All right, it looks like Robert is having too much fun with the trains, but we will be back with more KTSM 9 News at 4 right after this quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello everyone, if it's Wednesday and you're tuned into KTSM 9 News, chances are you're about to enjoy a small town spotlight. So we've come up to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and we're also featuring the school systems in Hatch today. What a treat. I'm here at the City of Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum. Oh my goodness. We had a couple of technical problems just a moment ago, but technical problems, that isn't going to stop the small town fun. Just take a look at this beautiful place. Now, this depot was built in 1910, and it served as an operational depot until 1968. Oh my goodness, and if you rode in on a train in Las Cruces, I know what you're wondering. It's kind of hot. Was there AC? No. No, picture these poor people. They were in here, but that's why they had to build these buildings so well, to try to keep away the heat, which of course we are going to experience. Here comes your exclusive 9-day forecast. And we're going to raise that temperature to 100 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Right now at the International Airport, it is 90. Winds are gusting to about 24 miles per hour. Expect those winds to be moderately gusty. I do expect us to top out somewhere between 95 and 97 degrees this afternoon. It is 89 degrees in Las Cruces with partly cloudy skies. That ridge of high pressure continues to build over the next few days, And over the weekend, we'll be facing some extreme heat. 102 by Friday, by Saturday, 105. If the pressure lines hold together, we could top out at 107 on Sunday. Those will be the hottest days. We're going to stay on the hot side Monday, but we drop down to 103. And then if you look ahead toward the end of next week, we get a chance of isolated thunderstorms, and that's certainly going to help if we could get some rain to break that heat. Joining me now is the director of exhibits of all the museums in the city of Las Cruces, and he's the manager of the Railroad Museum. David Lundy, nice to see you, Dave.
Nice to see you, Robert.
All right. Okay, so you were telling me that, now let's go back in time. Let's go back to 1910 when they built this thing. Any AC on this building?
No, sir.
No, they hadn't gotten that yet. But see these benches over here? Now you told me that in the beginning, oh look, there's my imitation aviators. In the beginning, they had two separate rooms. Okay, who occupied this room when they were waiting for the train?
Okay, this room originally was for women and families. Further to the north, that was the men's waiting area. So in 1910, it was considered improper to have the men and unescorted ladies in the same room. So they kept them separate in that time.
Well, what if mom and dad were together and they had the kids? Then could dad come over
I
here?
think in that case, yeah,
okay.
he probably
Then
would
he
have
was
been here.
okay.
Yeah.
So show us around a little bit.
Okay.
You were saying that this was not the original depot that was on this spot. What was here before?
Yeah, that's correct. The original depot here was actually a wooden frame structure that was built in 1881.
1881.
Yeah, it was a
And wasn't
small...
that great? You know, nowadays we hop on a Southwest Airlines, we can go anywhere in the world, but look at this. This is the original building right here on this very spot. But they tore it down, Dave?
Actually, they moved it. They moved it down south towards Anthony. Actually, it was called La Tuna in those days. And they moved it down there in 1910 when the new depot here was built.
Well, I'm so sorry. They picked up the building and they moved it to La Union?
In La Tuna.
La Tuna?
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed they did.
Well,
yeah.
why waste a modestly sized building?
Oh yeah, no, and in some very remote areas they would actually use a boxcar as the depot. But those buildings that were wooden frame structures like that were considered semi-portable, so they could move them around. Now what we have here, this building was brick.
I want to get much more, and we're going to be with you for a little while, so you stay with KTSM.
Well, let's go ahead and switch our attention back to our small town spotlight this week because it is Wednesday and we are live on location in the Las Cruces area. And as we mentioned previously, today we are highlighting Las Cruces and Hatch to learn more about the history, culture, and entertainment. And that is exactly where we find our chief meteorologist, Robert Bettis, who is already getting a preview of everything we have to offer. Robert, you look like you are, as always, having a ton of fun.
Tirza, can I give you a personal confession? When I was 2 years old, and yes, I lived right here in Las Cruces. My parents lived in student housing at NMSU, so I am all New Mexican. My dad took a ping pong table, took a saw, cut it in half, and made little Robbie Bettis something like this. Now, it wasn't as fancy, but you know, I was maybe a little too young to realize what was going on, but I loved watching it go around and around. And my dad got just as excited as I did. And why is that? Because we love trains. I love trains. And did you know the city of Las Cruces has an entire museum dedicated to rail cars and a ton of fantastic models. Now, coming up, I'm going to show you even more of this building that's been here since 1910. It was part of the Santa Fe Railroad, and it is amazing. Let's talk weather. Right now at the International Airport, it is 90 degrees. It's a little bit gusty out there, gusting to about 24 miles per hour. Those winds will probably get a little stronger within the next few hours before calming down in the night tonight. No dust today. Of course, we're talking about extreme heat over the weekend as temperatures rise to above 105 degrees. I'm going to have your detailed and exclusive 9-day forecast and more from the Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum. All coming up in just a little bit.
Your local weather authority, Robert Bettis, the Borderlands' only certified broadcast meteorologist.
Take us back to 1910. And let's compare the way it is for us life today. Okay, let's say you want to go to New York City. What do? Well, you get on your phone. You don't even get on a computer anymore. You just get on your phone. Oh, I want to go to New York City. Remember, your credit card information is in there. Boom. Well, back in 1910, you had to walk over here to the train depot. You come to this. This is the original ticket window, perfectly preserved. So picture people 115 years ago walking up to this little gate, and they would get their ticket. Probably wasn't as expensive as it is today. I'll have a ticket to New York. That'll be $1.50. Just kidding. I love this place. Now, joining me now is the director of exhibits and the manager of this Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum, David Lundy. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
You were talking about how, boy, franchise America. We talk, oh, everywhere you go in America, it's all the same. But there was a reason for that, and it applied to this building too. How so?
Well, it did. The Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad was a very efficient operation. And so they did not need to reinvent the wheel every time they came to a new town. So if it came time to build a depot, they had a certain standardized number of designs that they would use. The design we're in right now at the Las Cruces Railroad Museum, this was the county seat design.
The county seat design?
Yes.
With
yes.
a nice little door and a window, and so it's all the same size, same architecture, everything like that.
Yeah.
And you say it was built from not adobe, but from brick?
Yes, this is brick. And now if you had seen a county seat style depot in Kansas, for example, that one might be brick. But here, they stuccoed the building, gave us a red roof to blend in with the local architecture.
Isn't it? Why reinvent the wheel?
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned the Santa Fe, which of course we're all familiar with, but the Atchison, Topeka?
Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway.
Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad.
Right, and Atchison and Topeka are towns in Kansas, of course.
I'll be darned.
And Cyrus Holliday, who began the railroad, his vision was to actually have a railroad that paralleled more or less the route of the old Santa Fe Trail and ended in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Did you know this was here in Las Cruces? I certainly did not. Let's talk heat. Let's talk your exclusive 9-day forecast. Then I'll show you. It wasn't cell phones or texting back then. It was another kind of crazy way that you got a message to the train. Now, we can expect a high temperature tomorrow of 100 degrees in the afternoon. Southwest winds will be at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Then high pressure grows for the weekend ahead, and I'm concerned about some of these high temperatures. By Saturday, it could be close to 105 degrees. Sunday is looking as though it is the hottest day with a high temperature of 107. Then you'll see those temperatures come down just a little bit, going down to about 103 by Monday. And the good news in the long-range forecast ahead is that we'll have a chance of isolated thunderstorms by next Thursday and Friday. What you got there, Dave? Okay.
Enjoy. If you had to transmit a message to stop that. Get the train moving. So if you needed to pass some orders up to the crew on the train, this is the device you would use.
This thing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so
and I was hoping you'd demonstrate it for me.
okay, so am I the engineer?
I'll be the ground crew. You will be like the engineer in the cab.
Okay.
Of the
Okay. So
train.
what do I do?
Okay, so what I would do if I was on the ground, I would hold this out to you up in the cab, like way up there, but we'll move it.
Okay,
down
so
this
the
way.
train is coming.
The train is coming. So all you have to do is stick your arm out. And
Yeah. Now remember, you get one shot at this. This isn't texting. This was communication
Yes.
in 1910. The engineer would stick his arm out like this.
Yes. So
The train would be going,
just
30,
pass your
40
arm-
miles per hour.
just
You're
pass your
going
arm
here.
through there.
I'm pulling you off the track. Oh, so ideally it would let go.
Ideally
They
it
would get
would.
the message.
I didn't quite hook it on there properly.
Note to self. Don't let go. We're going to have to stop, back that train up. I tell you what, this is a treasure, and we've got more to come here from the Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum. You stay with KTSM 9 News. Okay, we saw how there was a way the engineer stuck his hand out and you just
kind of grabbed the mail. Well, it got better. Through the years, of course, they had the telegraph that they could send them a little message. This was always good. And this is actually similar to what they use today, the color-coded, you better stop, trust us, there's danger ahead. And by 1944, they had this, probably left over from World War II, but it was a teletype, so you could actually send a legitimate message to people. And it just gets better and better as technology gets better and better. And this museum shows all the steps. Let's take a look at that forecast. High temperature tomorrow goes up to 100 degrees. A hot day. We're in for a hot weekend. 105 Saturday, 107 potentially on Sunday. Comes down a little bit as we cruise into the work week. And I'm watching Thursday and Friday for possible isolated late day thunderstorms. I've got more from the museum coming up in just a little bit.
Well, time to get a first check of the forecast. Chief Meteorologist Robert Bettis joining us now from the Las Cruces Railroad Museum. All aboard. Hi, Robert.
All aboard, Estella. Doot, doot. You know, we think passenger trains, we think, of course, Amtrak. But back in the day, it was actually the passenger train. And look at that ad to go to Carlsbad Caverns back in the 30s. Of course, it just got more and more glamorous fashion in the late 40s and 50s. And of course, the diesel electric trains are probably the prettiest train ever invented. And that was running all around. I'm here at the Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum. What a treasure. This building that I'm standing in, built in 1910. Estella, the men had to wait over here because, you know, it's not proper to have the women and the children mixing with those men who are sitting in that other room over there. The ladies and the families had to sit in this room. Of course, this was not the original building. That was built in 1880, and it was actually picked up and moved over near La Tuna. And so this one still survived, filled with incredible treasures. And one of the treasures, of course, is the steam whistle, that classic whistle that I'm told if this were actually hooked up to a steam engine and had all the pressure in there, that if I pulled this little handle right here, it would blow the windows out of this building. Good thing it's just a museum piece at this point. Let's talk about the heat. Now we're going to move up to 100 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Fire up the misery meter, especially as we cruise in toward the weekend. 102 on Friday, and then 105 to up to 107 by Sunday. I'm going to have your detailed forecast coming up in just a little bit. Isn't it funny how 115 years changes everything, Estella?
Oh my gosh, it looks amazing out there. We'll check in with you a little bit later on. Thank you, Robert.
Your local weather authority, Robert Bettis, the Borderlands' only certified broadcast meteorologist.
It's Wednesday. You're watching KTSM 9 News. It's time for the Smalltown Spotlight. And today we've come to Las Cruces and to Hatch, New Mexico. I'm at the Las Cruces Railroad Depot Museum. And let's see if I can show you how they did Morse code back then. E, one dot. Let's see, S and T for Estella, one dot. E again, which we know is a dot. And L and O, dot, dash, dot, dot, and then what's A? Hopefully something simple, dot, dash. Wow, it's all kinds of interactive treasures like this. Joining me now is David Lundy. He is the director of exhibits and the manager of this fantastic building. I love this place.
Thank you.
Okay, so David, let's talk about this room right here in the depot. This was the baggage area?
This is where your bags would come in. There's a door there. There's a door going out on the platform. So this is where your bags would come in if you were traveling by train.
If you can see this, this is original. Miss Ormeda May. Miss Ormeda May. Really? The original trunk?
Yeah. We have a trunk from Ms. May she lived from 1876 to 1951, and going to be redoing this room a little bit. I want to put that trunk up on our Railway Express Agency cart.
You know, now airlines get you with the baggage fees. Are you trying to tell me they were getting us with the baggage fees way back in the day?
You know, I don't know about that. I really can't answer that, but I don't think it's probably like it was today or like it is today.
So that's a scale for the bags. It's room after room of these fantastic things. I want to show you the train models. But first, let's talk heat. Here comes your exclusive 9-day forecast. We'll be looking at a high tomorrow of 100 degrees. High pressure explodes over the borderland starting this weekend. That's going to elevate us to about 105 degrees by Saturday, 107 by Sunday. Extreme heat those days. And then we're looking at temperatures coming down a little bit on Monday and Tuesday. And I've got some good news in the long range forecast. We can expect the high temperature to go down as we expect a few isolated thunderstorms. Okay, so Dave, tell me about this gauge of model. It's a whole room of train models. Are you kidding me right now? This is my favorite thing ever.
This is our O-scale Lionel layout. Lionel was hugely popular in the 30s, probably through the 1950s. And so a lot of folks will have a lot of memories of Lionel trains from that time.
I love it. They have real tiny scale trains over here. Isn't that fantastic? And Estella, let me show you this right over here. Now this is actually under construction, so mind the dust and the tools. But if you look down here, now it's not a replica of Las Cruces in any way at all. However, if you keep going down the town and down to this mountain over here, and you can see where there's a little train tunnel, a la New Mexico style. What do we have right back here behind the mountain? Now that's authentic New Mexico. I love it. You stay with KTSM 9 News.
Today's Smalltown Spotlight takes us to Las Cruces in Hatch, New Mexico. KTSM 9 News anchors Andy and Monica are out live at the Museum of Nature and Science in Las Cruces with a look ahead. Hi, guys. You're laughing. What are you laughing about?
Guys, I'm laughing. I just found out Andy is scared of snakes. Yeah. Check this out. We have this beautiful reptile.
I can't think under pressure either.
What is his name, Leah?
William Snakespeare.
And he lives here at the museum.
He lives at the museum. He's an ambassador animal, so he goes to schools and events and teaches kids about local Chihuahuan desert animals, as well as how to treat those animals with compassion and care and respect.
And hopefully get me over my fear of snakes. Maybe he can do that.
I've never seen him run so fast. But before we get into this, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the railroad where Robert is at. But we're going to check out what this Railroad Museum is all about.
So this is our museum where you can take you back in time to 1910. This building was built in 1910, part of the Santa Fe Railroad system. It was a depot that was put here to really bring people to the area and also take goods and services to and from the area here.
So this is very historical because every room, like you said, takes us back in time. So where are we right now?
So right now we would be in the men's waiting room. We're sitting on some of the benches, the type that were used back then. There's a family and women's waiting room in the next room over there, and right behind us is the station master's office. So they would give orders to the trains that are passing by on the way up to Albuquerque or going down to El Paso south. A few times a day you'll get a train that passes right by. It's on these tracks here. We have famous photos. We have a photo of Teddy Roosevelt. He did a whistle stop tour here. So all kinds of things used to happen here, and it still really does. I want them to get a throwback to the way travel was back in the day. We have pictures of people, they're all dressed up, traveling. They have super big luggage that they could carry, which you couldn't do that on an airline today, pretty much. But train travel was different back then. As you go farther into the museum, then we have more modern things like model railroading, which was a pastime for lots of kids back in the day. And kids still like that. So they get to play with those type of trains. We have wooden trains that the little toddlers love to play with. And then we have an education area upstairs where we can have talks about what train travel is like and different aspects of the railroad.
Why do you think it's so important to have a museum like this here in Las Cruces?
It really shows the way life was and what actually built Las Cruces. I mean, this building here runs right into Las Cruces Avenue. It was named Las Cruces Avenue because you go right up the street and you go right to downtown. So it was really this depot that allowed for lots of building materials to come in, brick, lots of cement, and different things. So it wasn't just an adobe town back then, which they used to build it out, but now it's built with brick. And you can see our neighborhood that's around here built with all the materials that were brought in by the train.
All right, so that was a railroad museum. Robert's going to have a lot more on that throughout our newscast, but I kind of want to focus more on Leah and William. Leah, thank you so much I know we just grabbed you.
That's fine.
Talk to us a little bit more about the kind of animals. Sorry, talk to us more about the kind of animals that we would find here in the museum.
William's not the only one.
No, so we have almost 100 animals in our care. All of those are native to the Chihuahuan Desert, which we are a part of. We're just kind of up at the top of it. And so the animals that you'll see here are all reptiles, turtles, invertebrates, snakes, lizards, all of whom are native to our area. So these are all animals that you ideally could see in your ecosystem if you're out hiking.
I love it. Do you want to touch William?
No.
No?
I'm sorry.
It's not
I'm sorry.
bad.
We'll get there, maybe. No
One day.
promises.
All right.
Certainly looking forward to this edition of Smalltown Spotlight. That's going to be live at 6 p.m. We're going to be covering everything Las Cruces and Hatch, New Mexico. You won't want to miss it.
We'll be right back.
Season 3 of Smalltown Spotlight, sponsored by Labonati Law.
KTSM 9 News at 6, live on location today as we continue with Season 3 of Smalltown Spotlight. We are coming to you live today across state lines from the Museum of Nature and Science in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and today a pair of Borderland gems. Thank you everyone for joining us for this special edition of KTSM 9 News at 6 Smalltown Spotlight. I'm Andy Morgan.
And I'm Monica Cortez. And you know, Las Cruces was one of the stops we made last year.
Yep.
We didn't include Hatch, and this year we made it right. We made sure to go up there. I know you've been talking about
I really have.
for a while, and I can't wait to show you everything we've done here. But you know, we're coming to you live from the Las Cruces Museum, Nature and Science Museum here. And Andy, I learned something new about you.
Yeah, you really did. So did all our viewers at 5 p.m. as well.
I had no idea you were deathly scared of snakes.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit of them here at the Museum of Nature and Science, that is, in Las Cruces. And yeah, trying to get over that hump to be able to like touch one. You held one.
I held one. I overcame that fear. We'll get you there. I'll get you there.
No promises on my
end. You know
end.
what? I got a chance to tour this place. It's so beautiful. Didn't get to the animals, but we got to everything else. Did you know this was a 3-in-1, 3 separate buildings? They made it all into one. Take a look. Las Cruces, you don't get to see this very often. You have 3 museums in one, and we get the privilege of getting a tour inside. As a matter of fact, we are here with the Deputy Director of the museums, Garland Courts. Thank you so much for being here today.
Great to have you.
Garland, you were telling us there's something very unique about the history of these museums.
Yeah, so the original museum for the city is the white building over there, which was the former library. The building right next to us here that you were just focused on, that was an auto parts store, and it was bought by the city to become the Museum of Art. And then the next building over used to be a bank.
And so which one are we going into first? The library, auto parts, or bank?
Why don't we go into the old bank?
Let's do it. So Garland, you were telling us what's really beautiful about this museum is that incredible trackway that just opens the scene for us.
These are historic trackways which actually have footprints from creatures that used to roam in this area.
We also have the beautiful animals kind of like in the background, you said, right?
You can see Chihuahuan desert animals that are in all of our little cases. You can see what type of animals you can see if you just go out into the desert around you.
And if anyone doubted us that this was a bank, Garland, there's our proof.
Yeah, so that's the door, one of the vault doors to the bank building that used to be here. It was way too heavy to move or get rid of, so it's still here.
So you don't really have to go too far to go into the next building.
Right. It's our Museum of Art, which is right next door, and we have changing exhibits here. We change out every 3 months or so.
Okay.
So there's always something different to see when you come by. We have modern art that is in here right now, but we have all kinds of genres that we show. We go from classic art that we show, sculpture, impressionism. We run the gamut of different types of art that are shown here because we're constantly changing it out.
I love it. Let's go to the next one. What I really love about this museum, Garland, is this incredible courtyard.
Yeah, we have an open space out in between the two buildings. It's between the Museum of Art and our Branding and Cultural Center.
I love it. And you're saying that we're going into, I guess, the most prized possession, if you will, the history of Las Cruces.
Right, the history of Las Cruces, and it's housed in the historic building itself. This building is from 1935. It's on the National Register of Historic Places.
So Garland, you said this building was originally the library.
Yes, it was the first library in Las Cruces, built in 1935.
Wow, so what I really love is this room right here. You get to just go back in time and really learn about Las Cruces.
Yeah, we thought it was really important to let people know the history of our region here. So we do cover that. It's kind of a smaller area, but it tells a lot of history about what happened before we were here.
Wow, Garland, thank you so much. That is so incredible. And just so our audience knows, we are in this room where your high school students get to showcase their work.
Yeah, this is our main gallery, and so it has plenty of space. I think there's over 90 objects in here, so that's 90 students that are represented with their artwork in this exhibit.
Incredible. And guys, there is so much more we weren't able to show you because of time restraints, so make sure you come on down and explore this incredible building, explore the incredible museums, because there is a lot to see.
It was so fun, Andy, and Garland really did tell us that students are always involved, the public is always involved in the displays that we see here today.
And certainly when you have a school district like the Las Cruces School District and you have so many different students, comprised of so many different high schools that kind of feed into those high schools, certainly this is a gem to be able to come, take field trips, take kids during summer breaks, that sort of thing. So many different facets to this museum.
Absolutely, especially now that we're about to experience our first heat wave of the season. This is a great way to escape the heat.
No doubt.
You know who would know more about that?
I think Robert. Let's bring him in here. Chief Meteorologist Robert Bettis joining us now. Robert, I know you were at the Railroad Museum during our 5 p.m. hour. Robert actually here with us.
Yeah,
at the,
what are you up
museum.
to today? What are you doing?
Yes, and yeah, we're here at the Las Cruces Museum of Nature and Science. Right now, there's a little more nature than science in this particular part of the museum. And it's amazing. There are kids everywhere, interactive stuff. I saw some kids running around with their little puzzles trying to win prizes. Joining me now is Destry Kissick. She is the curator of living collections.
Hi, Robert.
It's not sinister at all.
Oh, nice to see you. So,
living collections.
yeah, so over here we have a couple of our snakes out. So if you'd like to hold, this is Igor.
Oh, Igor.
Igor is a Western hognose snake, and although he does look like a baby, he is actually about 6 years old. He's just small.
He doesn't look a day over he doesn't look a day.
Yeah, and so they call him that from their nice little hognose shaped noses that they have there.
It smells so fresh.
Yes.
What else do you have for me?
Yeah, of course. And so over
now,
here.
I know you've got to be careful because coral snakes, this isn't a coral snake,
No,
right?
so this is actually an albino variable king snake. This is candy corn.
Candy corn.
She is completely harmless, but yeah, good eye on the coral snakes.
Oh, look at that. You know, that tongue really is probing. What an adorable creature.
She's
so
beautiful.
I don't know too many museums where the kids can actually handle snakes and all kinds of great things.
There's not too many around here. There's not.
That's wonderful.
Yes, we're one of the only ones outside of Albuquerque that'll do it. So.
How important is it for education of children to put real animals in their hands?
I think it's a an awesome thing to do. It's the only way to inspire that love of nature and to get it upright. It's the best way to teach them to not be afraid of them, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Destry. I'm almost over that fear.
Bye, Robert.
Okay, 94 degrees at the airport right now. We're looking at a high today of close to 97, and then we move to the triple digits over the weekend with extreme heat Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to have that detailed forecast. And of course, we'll ask the age-old question, should my photographer, Tony Pena, and I represent ourselves in a legal matter? All of that in the forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Thank you, Robert.
Andy, Monica?
Thank you so much, Robert. You know, and it's one of those things where you have yet to handle a snake.
No.
Yeah. So
no, I'm just glad that I'm not Robert in that situation, and the show's success hinged on me holding the snake. Luckily, I'm right here.
You're right here.
But he brings up a great point, and also Desiree bringing up the point too of educating kids from an early age, because that probably didn't happen for me.
For you, so
which is why I'm in the position I'm in right now, where it's just like one came up behind us in the 5 p.m. hour, and I was just like, I'm going to go over here.
I have faith that you will overcome your fear by the end of the show.
By the end of the show, we'll see. We'll see.
But you know what? We still have a lot more to get to, and I know that we have news of the day, and so let's get to that.
Yeah, let's send it over to Tirza Ortiz, who is standing by in our studio in West El Paso. Tirza.
Hey there, Andy and Monica. Let's go ahead and get a closer look at today's headlines. We begin with a story you will only see on 9. New video shows a man, a woman, and young girl being escorted from the El Paso Federal Building's loading zone into a Department of Homeland Security van by ICE agents. In response, local activist groups are showing up outside federal court, handing out flyers hoping to educate people on their rights, calling the detentions a troubling pattern happening across the country.
And not being allowed to present their case to a judge, which is what everyone, like, due process is all about, which is an inalienable right that people have. It's safeguarded in the Constitution for a reason.
In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security defended the enforcement, saying in part, ICE is now following the law and placing these illegal aliens in expedited removal, as they always should have been. If they have a valid, credible fear claim, they will continue in immigration proceedings, but if no valid claim is found, aliens will be subject to a swift deportation. In an exclusive internal document obtained by our border report, it shows that the specific individuals being targeted are individuals deemed national security or public safety threats. Specific people with criminal convictions, gang members, individuals ordered to be removed from the U.S., but who remain, and those who have re-entered the country illegally. It also states that family and friends accompanying the targets or serving as witnesses can also be, quote, subject to civil immigration enforcement action. The El Paso School District will now be searching for a new superintendent after the board voted to accept Diana Saavedra's voluntary retirement. It happened last night at a special board meeting in front of a packed house of community members. Before the 4-2 decision, one by one, teachers, parents, students, and community members stood behind the microphone, voicing their support for Saavedra, who has been leading the district since 2022. After hours of public comment, the board later went into executive session, then returned to deliver their vote with one member, Robert Osterlin, abstaining. Daniel Call and Valerie Beals, the 2 veteran members of the board, voted against accepting her retirement. Saavedra now becomes the superintendent emeritus and will remain in the role until January 2026. That was a look at your top stories for today. Let's go ahead and send things over to Monica Cortez and Andy Morgan, who are live in Las Cruces for today's Smalltown Spotlight.
Thank you, Tirza. Really appreciate that. And joining us now is Garland Quartz of the Las Cruces Museum System. Thank you so much for hosting us for this edition of Smalltown Spotlight, Garland.
Really glad to have you here.
Thank you, Garland. And you know, we've been talking about this. Our weather has been so warm. It looks like we're about to hit triple digits in El Paso. So one of the best things to do is maybe go to a museum. And you're saying here in Las Cruces, it's absolutely free.
You got it. We got 4 city museums. They're free to the public. And we have really good air conditioning here too, so you can get out of the heat and enjoy a museum experience here.
Certainly a plus for the kiddos, especially on summer break. I was going to ask you what makes this museum in particular unique, but I feel like we got that answer as soon as we walked in the door with the different animals that you're able to handle, the kids doing scavenger hunts inside the museum, just a lot to do here.
Yeah, there is a lot to do. We have the animals, of course, but we go from prehistoric items like our T-Rex and things like that, and we even talk about space. So we go from the past to the future and beyond here.
Wow, and you know, you were saying 3 museums in one. One of them is not too far away. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's the Railroad Museum, and that's a really popular one with kids and older adults too really love it because you get a break to the past. You go to a 1910 building, it's old style, there's all kinds of things to do, and if you're lucky, there'll actually be a train that passes by sometimes. So it's a fun museum. All 4 museums are fun in their own way.
But working here, I'm sure you have a favorite.
Oh, man.
Maybe not necessarily a
putting you on the
favorite building,
spot.
anything like that, but let's say just a facet of one of the museums that really, really sparks your interest.
Well, I'm kind of a history major, and so I like the Brannigan Cultural Center. We do a lot of history. We've got the history of Las Cruces exhibit in there, and history's my thing. But you know, I really love railroads, getting to work in it, and science and things like that. So everything is great.
Yeah. That's incredible. Garland, thank you so much. This has been such a neat experience for us. And did I tell you that Andy's afraid of snakes?
That's the rumor. Yeah. So we're gonna see if he'll hold one of these. I think we can talk him into it.
Everyone is determined to make this happen. I just don't want to disappoint everyone. But I don't know.
I feel the pressure's on, Andy. I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Garland, thank you so
good.
much.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
We're only halfway through this edition of Smalltown Spotlight. Our first half hour is focused on Las Cruces. Next half hour is going to be Hatch, so still a lot to get to here.
Oh, I'm so excited, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Your local weather authority, Robert Bettis, the Borderlands' only certified broadcast meteorologist.
Yes, if you have kids or if you're just a kid at heart, then you definitely want to come to the Las Cruces Museum of Nature and Science, where I can read one of my favorite books, The Little Raindrop. Believe it or not, it's got valuable meteorological information that can teach kids about the weather. And of course, the kids, oh, don't be shy, kids, come on over, because I've got every imaginable dinosaur, and it's so much fun to come here to the museum. Of course, these small town spotlights could not and would not happen without the sponsorship of Daniela Labinati of the Labinati Law Firm. Hi, Daniela. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to show you a dinosaur, and then I'd like you to tell me your initial thoughts. Let me see. What about this one right here?
A dinosaur. All right. Well, I would say a dinosaur reminds me of me during a deposition of a drunk driver.
Yes.
I will act like a dinosaur.
Because your law firm handles personal injury, and if somebody gets drunk and drives and they injure you, you're the one they want to call.
Absolutely. They injure people, they kill people. Yes.
Not a positive situation.
Very tragic sometimes.
However, we have a segment on Smalltown Spotlight called Should We Represent Ourselves? And of course, I'm talking about my photographer, Tony Pena, and myself. Should we represent ourselves?
If you're hit by a drunk driver?
Well, you're going to be setting up the complicated legal question, and I always learn so much from you. We'll be doing that in the next half hour. We're going to break now and do the quick weather, and then I want to show you a disturbing graphic that I think really sums up what we're dealing with.
You drew it?
Yes, I did draw it. Here comes your exclusive 9-day forecast. Now, are we ready for the heat? It's 94 at the airport right now. Winds are gusting to about 15 miles per hour. We can expect those winds to settle down in the night tonight, and then we'll be looking at a high temperature tomorrow of 100 degrees or very close to it. Then extreme heat settles in for the weekend because high pressure is building up. We'll be up to 102 Friday, 105 on Saturday, and potentially as hot as 107 on Sunday. Some good news toward the end of the week. We could have a chance of isolated thunderstorms. Danielle, I want to show you something. Of course, last week, if you watched the Smalltown Spotlight, we talked about a legal matter of what happens if you have an accident with a truck that was responsible. Who do you sue? Who do you go after?
Correct.
And of course, we learned some disturbing things about my photographer, Tony Pena. I think we all know he drives a very small imported car, but he's a very aggressive driver. And we saw him there with the accident. Tony, have you worked at all on your driving?
Of course, Robert. I'm not an aggressive driver.
You're not?
I'm not.
Okay, well, the graphic says otherwise. But we're going to have a complicated legal scenario coming up?
Sure. Right now?
No, in a bit. I want to let Tony think about his driving habits.
Well, Tony, do you drink and drive?
Not at all.
We'll find out about that here in a minute. You stay with KTSM 9 News.
Hello everyone, Sam Guzman here. Welcome back to Smalltown Spotlight. Today we are showcasing Las Cruces and Hatch, and right now I want to talk about one of the best athletes to come out of Las Cruces. His name is Stephen Milam. He's a Las Cruces native, Centennial High School graduate, and currently plays on one of the best college baseball teams in the entire country. Check it out.
2. Milam watches. Right field. And gone. A legend is born.
After a breakout year as a freshman in 2024, Las Cruces native Stephen Milam is back at LSU, continuing his baseball journey.
Oh, I feel good. I love it. It's home. Everything I dreamed of as a kid from Las Cruces. You don't really see it too much, but I always envisioned myself being here, and when everybody told me no, I'm here doing it right now.
As a sophomore, Milam plays one of the most important positions on the field for one of the most successful college baseball programs in the entire country.
Stephen Milam with a monster play at short.
Just looking back on everything that I've been through, and you look up and you're like, you finally see your name getting called out on the scoreboard, and you're the starting shortstop. It's a surreal feeling, and I embraced it, and I've enjoyed it.
Dive into the glove of Milam. LSU takes the game.
Earning the starting shortstop job at LSU was a major goal for Milam. He's accomplished that, and now looks to accomplish another goal of his this year.
We've had a good year. I've been helping my team win, so trying to win a national championship is kind of where my head's at right now. Yeah, you'll get your individual stuff, but if you win here, you'll be remembered as that.
Milam and LSU are back in action this weekend when they take on West Virginia in the NCAA Super Regionals. Moving on, we're going to talk about New Mexico State. If you've been to the university recently, there's been a lot of construction going on, a lot of dust in the air if you've been near Aggie Memorial Stadium, and that's because the university is working on a multi-million-dollar project, a new facility for the NMSU football team. KTSM 9 Sports reporter Kelly Horizon got to hang out with head coach Tony Sanchez and gives us an update on how the new renovations are going.
And then plans started to get drawn up in 23, and then we started construction last year. We're still running out of the same locker room that I played in. I played in the mid-90s, so it's been a while. It's a decent space, but it's not up to par. The recruiting landscape's changed a lot. NIL, when guys come on recruiting visits, be able to show them a brand new facility, brand new training room, locker room, equipment room, academic study halls. It's going to be a huge infrastructural piece, running it and then to the recruiting part.
How much did this cost?
$15.75 million. So student bonded it, and that ended up paying for the building. So when you walk into a space like this and you see how nice it is, it says something about the university and its care for all the different facets. And we talk about attention to detail. When you're in a nice facility, and it's kind of like putting on a suit and walking into an interview. You feel like $1 million, you're probably going to go make $1 million. So just having this as the heartbeat and kind of the educational center of New Mexico State football is going to be a big deal. So right here, we're going to have position meeting rooms. So there's 6 rooms that all look the same. The quarterbacks met in my office. The tight ends met in the tight end coach's office. The lobby was another meeting room. And it's been really kind of helter-skelter, putting it all together. So now having a spot, just the way it should be done. This is probably the most important part for our players. All their individual lockers to come get their practice gear, game gear. It's a great footprint, great space. You know, you're going to have big screen, that whole wall be encompassed with TV screens. Lockers will be all on the back walls. We'll put their names on their state flag where they come from. We're probably the only team that has not shown to recruit our locker room in 3 recruiting cycles. Having this now, it's just going to raise excitement for recruits and current players. So we'll walk in, this is, you know, the bathrooms for the guys. Right here in the middle, you're going to have a nice old school red barber chair. Yeah, that'll be kind of cool. There's nothing I can do here, so they can't cut mine, but we're good to go.
Hey, you never know. Maybe they'll give you a nice shine or something like that.
Being an alum and being a guy who's been, you know, who's seen this place for a long time and knowing what we've gone without, I'm really excited for our current players to sing the fight song in this locker room, for our former players to walk in here with their families and look at it and go like, all right, we're moving forward. But just adding pieces like this, getting out there and being competitive, I think we can chip our way back into a good spot. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's a new chapter of
new
New
era,
Mexico
new
State
era Aggie
football.
Thank you, Kelly. Here are what the lockers will look like once construction is complete. Sanchez and the construction company are confident work will be done before the Aggies take the field at Aggie Memorial Stadium on August 30th to host Bryant in its 2025 season opener. That's going to be your look at sports. We'll have much more Smalltown Spotlight on the other side.
Welcome back to this special edition of KTSM 9 News at 6 Smalltown Spotlight. We are live on location today from the Museum of Nature and Science here in Las Cruces, and you are getting pretty much a 2-for-1 special on this edition of Smalltown Spotlight. That's because during our first half hour, we highlighted the museums, of course, here in Las Cruces and other facets of Las Cruces. And in this next half hour, we're going to be highlighting Hatch, New Mexico, one of my favorite stops along I-25.
Honestly, it is so great. And you know what, Andy? So I never really knew much about Hatch ISD until my mom started working there. And then I realized how talented all those students were. So we decided to go back to Hatch ISD. We ended up visiting Hatch High School, and they are doing so many incredible projects, including freight farms.
Interesting.
Take a look.
So this is our freight farm. This is what we've transported today, actually.
That confined space is actually a shipping container, usually filled with freight. Now the repurposed space allows for students at Hatch High School, like Travis Cisneros, to learn how to grow their own produce. This is what you call a freight farm.
So the freight farm is essentially a hydroponic farm system within a shipping container, and so it utilizes water instead of traditional soil to grow plants.
If you look above, there's drip lines, and it drips down and it waters the plants I think it's every hour for 24
I see.
hours.
Yeah. So are these ready to go?
No, ma'am. No. These are still growing.
Okay.
These are about, I think, halfway done.
Okay. According to agriculture teacher at Hatch High School, Ryan Isles, students are learning how to grow lettuce for now, hoping they can learn to grow other produce to help those in the community who need it the most.
We can then take the lettuce and sell it to our local restaurants and stores here and then give it to people, because here in Hatch, in a small community, it's hard to get fresh produce.
There's only 600 of these kind of farms in the world, and this is the only freight farm in New Mexico.
It's very important, especially when we're looking at New Mexico with all the water issues that we're having right now. Being able to utilize a freight farm that doesn't take up as much land and that doesn't use as much water, it kind of gives us a leeway into some of these new technological advances that maybe we can then go and share with our farmers.
This freight farm is still new to Hatch ISD, as they just got it installed in 2024. So students are still learning how to fully work this new kind of technology.
They're growing good, as you can see. Before we had a little bit of issues, but it started to work out more. When it's fully functional, we can grow 1,000 heads of lettuce.
We all know that technology is here and it's advancing very quickly, and so being able to utilize something that's very new, we can give our students this foundational skills that they already kind of know how to manage this, and it helps with our food security as well as our water.
You know, I had a lot of fun, Andy, learning about freight farms, and honestly, I feel like this is the way of the future.
Also, hats off to these students. I actually am in taking an endeavor here. We got tomato plants recently from a viewer, so I'm just now starting to get into I don't know if I can necessarily call it growing my own produce, but I'm attempting to do it with a tomato plant, and let me just say it's a lot harder than it looks. So to be able to do that and have everything that they have at their disposal, certainly the resources, really, really cool story.
I know. We're going to have to send those kiddos over to your house so that they can teach
I
you
know.
how to do
I'm
it
going to
right.
have to figure out how to get this green thumb. So something else that we've been talking about, and certainly a gem when it comes to Hatch, New Mexico. We know it's the chili capital of the world, of course, and Sparky's, it's more than even just a stop. It's become a full-blown attraction almost, and of course, it is home to the world-famous green chili cheeseburger.
You know, I was so jealous of Ian. He got the privilege of going out there and covering the story, so I told him to eat a burger for me.
And bring us back some green chili.
Yeah. Check it out.
Take me back to the early days of Sparky's when you guys were just moving in. You guys thought, hey, you know what would be fun? Let's start a restaurant.
It was right after the flood. I think the flood was like '06, and we bought an old restaurant. We remodeled it. Probably took a half a year because we did it ourselves with friends and help. Our dream was to serve 75 people. That was my dream. That first day we did 80 people.
Unreal.
I couldn't believe it. The town was ready for one more restaurant where it was just a safe place to gather and share. They didn't really care so much about our food one way or another. They just liked a nice place to hang out.
Well, I think it's safe to say people are starting to care about the food a little bit these days. You got a real mix, but you also have the world famous green chili cheeseburger. World famous. That's a big title.
We're in Hatch. We're in Hatch. Right. I mean, Hatch is world famous for its green chili. And we don't mess with it. We just use roasted, peeled, and chopped hot right from here. I mean, I know the farmer that raises it. I know the family that process it. It's Hatch. It's the valley right here. And I'm damn proud to be part of it.
Yeah.
It's a little part. All I do is take that great chili and put it on our burger.
This whole restaurant outside, across the street, it's just like the greatest collection of Americana memorabilia of the past 6 or 7 decades I think I've ever seen in person. What's the inspiration here? You just like this stuff?
I'm stuck in the 40s. I love America back when the fenders were huge and there was hood ornaments, and I'm just like happy.
What makes you keep coming back to work every day?
It's fun. It's just exciting. There's so much energy of people talking, eating good food, sharing. That's why I come, because it's every day it's exciting. It's different.
Yeah, real tough assignment there, Ian, getting to go to Sparky's and try that world-famous green chili cheeseburger. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was Ian's first try at Sparky's. I know I've made a couple pit stops there in my time, and it certainly is a gem. Not only the food is great, but just everything you just saw, Americana 101.
Yeah, I loved it. When I found out we needed to do this, I was like, we need to send someone who hasn't been there.
Yeah.
Ian was our guy, so lucky.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to take you back to Hatch ISD and talk about more projects that they're working on. That'll be a little later in this newscast.
Stay with us. You're watching
your local weather authority, Robert Bettis, the Borderlands' only certified broadcast meteorologist.
Driving in the desert Southwest in the convertible, it's so pleasant, isn't it, Daniela Labinati? Of course, Daniela Labinati is our sponsor of these Smalltown Spotlights, and we really appreciate it. It's fun to drive, isn't it?
It is fun to drive as long as you follow the rules of the road and do not drink and drive.
Absolutely. I believe this leads us to our complicated legal question of the day.
It does.
It does, and I believe I already have an idea of how I'm going to be answering this. You ready for the legal question, Tony?
Tony, are you ready?
Tony, you ready to answer some questions? Yeah, I didn't think so. All right, let's go ahead and go to the 9-day forecast. Are we ready to get hotter than we've already been? High temperature goes up to 100 degrees tomorrow afternoon, and then as high pressure continues to build, we'll be at 102 by Friday, 105 on Saturday as we move into the extreme heat zone for the weekend ahead, potentially 107 if the pressure lines hold. That's going to be our hottest day on Sunday. We're going to stay in those triple-digit days all the way through toward the end of the week. But the good news is toward Thursday and Friday, we'll be looking at least a chance of isolated area thunderstorms. So, of course, we have a special segment here on Smalltown Spotlight called Should We Represent Ourselves? And of course, you know, my dear photographer, Tony Pena, whom I think the world of. He's a close friend and a great friend. And I think we're ready to represent ourselves. Daniela,
are you?
What is the question?
Okay, here is the question. So this is a real case. My client was driving and a drunk driver brands the red light and T-bones my client and sustains significant injuries. My question is, who can my client sue because this drunk driver harmed her?
Yeah.
Tony?
Well, I want to refer to the graphic here. Of course, we learned last week that Tony Pena, my photographer right here, is an aggressive driver, and we learned about semi-trucks. Tony, do you have anything to say before I answer the legal question?
Yeah, I'm not an aggressive driver, Robert, and I have a clean record and a clean driving record, of course.
Tony, do you drink and drive?
Have you ever been in an accident, Tony?
Never been in an accident, don't drink and drive.
Okay. Well, barrister, there's more information. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Tony Pena is quite the ladies' man. Of course, he wears the bell-bottoms. He has the rock star hair.
Wow.
And what if the ladies started buying him drinks? Who is responsible?
Well, yes, if the drunk driver was served alcohol in a bar, that's why it's really important to investigate and not represent yourself and hire a lawyer to find out how did the person get drunk. Was it in a bar? And if it was in a bar, then yes, you would sue the bar because those servers should have not served alcohol to someone that either appeared intoxicated or was intoxicated. So it's really important to investigate and find out, how did this person get drunk? Was it home? Was it a social guest? Was it an event? Was it a wedding? Was it at a bar because a lady just bought him too many drinks? So that is why you need an attorney.
Daniela, that is why the Labadandi law firm is so incredibly good. I didn't even think to investigate the other areas that could be involved in such a collision.
Absolutely, yes.
You know what? You're off the hook, Tony. You've got a perfect driving record and absolutely no accidents. And thank you.
Do not accept all those drinks, Tony,
That's
from women
right. And you
in a
need
bar.
to start fighting the ladies off, okay? You stay with KTSM 9 News. I think we've learned a lot.
Welcome back to Smalltown Spotlight as we are live here in Las Cruces, and we've been talking about Las Cruces as well as Hatch, New Mexico, who of course, as we just learned, has become world famous for green chili, but they're also making a big mark in veterinary care.
Absolutely. They just opened up their very first vet clinic in Hatch, the town, and it's all run by students. Take a look.
4 years ago, we started talking about how can we transform education? How do we create opportunities for kids to have those hands-on experience? But then we also talked about how do we bridge a community need to the schools? And so one of the things that I had heard early on from the community, they wanted to see our ag program expanded. And so what we did is we had this building that was not being used, and so we repurposed this building. And so through the school board's approval, they approved us to be able to take it over and build this vet clinic here.
The closest veterinary clinic is probably in Las Cruces, which is a good 45 minutes away, and some people struggle getting from here to there or even having transportation. So I think the goal is to be able to provide veterinary care to this community, but also to provide an area for students to come and learn as well.
I always have this saying that you can't learn something until you get your hands dirty. And I truly believe that's true for almost anybody, especially students. They'll actually be doing work-based learning. They may be doing cleaning, or a lot of times if it's outside, it'll be cleaning kennels or raking up piles of manure, which is just as important because you learn the value of hard work. Work ethic is one of the best skills that we can teach in this clinic. With that, they'll also be able to observe a veterinarian in their work environment.
Whenever they first said that they wanted to build a vet clinic here, I wanted to do it. And then my ag teacher brought it up to me. He said that I could take it as a work study class next year and get to groom the animals and help the actual doctors move the animals and handle them and restrain them and stuff. And that sounded interesting to me, and it's part of what I have to do with farming in the real world, so I thought might as well do it if it has to do with what I'm going to be doing in the future anyways.
We need more people in the animal science industry, particularly in the animal care industry. It's a large industry, it's growing. So if we're able to get kids hooked into the idea of going into veterinary medicine or even becoming a tech, those are ideas and those are things that we hope that our students will take and say, I can become that, I can do that, I've practiced that, I've worked in it. I'm hoping that we're creating a student of value right out of high school to go into college or to go into the workforce to be able to have the skills they need to be successful.
I just want to say big shout out to Hatch ISD for allowing us to showcase all of their incredible projects. Andy, this has been such a great thing for them.
No doubt about that, and certainly props to the students being able to kind of get that opportunity. It certainly is a unique one.
It really is, and we have one last unique opportunity here for our show, and that is Andy. He's going to be touching a snake. Convinced him. That's coming up right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. So here is a show of firsts. I was able to conquer my fear, number one, and number two, of carrying a snake. And number two, I was able to convince Andy to touch a snake.
Yeah, I'm smiling right now, but I'm crying inside.
We just want to say thank you so much to Leah, Whitney, and Destry for allowing us to be here. And of course, Garland, it wouldn't have been possible without you. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this. And Andy, you better be touching that snake right now.
So what is this one's name?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
There we go.
Okay.
Hey, at least we did that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's not that bad, right? You want to carry it?
No.
No.
This is a good first step.
All right. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to be here. We learned so much.